I rolled over with a deep sigh. "Today's the day, buddy," I muttered, giving my dog a gentle pat. "Let's go potty." Dragging myself out of bed, I threw on the first clothes I found lying on the floor. Leash in hand, we headed outside into the yard for his morning routine. Once back inside, I went straight to the bathroom, prepping for what was ahead. I gathered a few essentials: tweezers, my manscaper, some razors, and a can of shaving cream. Standing in front of the mirror, I started with my eyebrows, plucking away at each stray hair until they looked clean and neatly shaped. Satisfied with the work, I reached for the razor to tidy up the outer edges and the space between them, making sure everything looked sharp. Once I was satisfied with my eyebrows, I moved on to the rest of my body hair. I couldn't help but wish I had remembered to grab some Nair. Burning it all off would have been quick and painless. But it was too late for that now. I was already committed. I stepped into the tub, manscaper in hand, and got to work, trimming everything from my facial hair down to my ankles, and everything in between. After finishing the trim, I made sure to clean up all the hair to avoid clogging the drain. Then, I grabbed the shaving cream and razor, starting at my toes and working my way up. When I finished, I went over it all again, just to be thorough. This was my first time shaving my entire body, so I wasn't taking any chances. After finishing, I hopped into the shower for a quick rinse. As I lathered up with body wash, I noticed how strange my skin felt, smooth and soft without the usual layer of hair. It was almost unsettling, like I was running my hands over someone else's body. Once out of the shower, I slathered on a thick coat of lotion, making sure every inch of me stayed hydrated. Wrapped in a towel, I dug my makeup bag out from under the sink and got to work. After patting my face dry, I started with a light layer of orange color corrector over the areas where my shadow tends to creep through. Then I applied a generous layer of foundation, smoothing it across my skin. With my highlighter and bronzer in hand, I tackled the deep bags under my eyes and shaped my face with careful contouring. A soft sweep of blush along my cheekbones added a final touch of warmth and color. I'd always struggled with eyelash extensions and hardly ever wore them, but I decided today was the day to give it another try. With steady hands, I applied the glue and, using my tweezers, carefully attempted to position the lashes just right. After a few failed tries, I finally settled on good enough and moved on. I added a coat of mascara and used my eyelash curler to blend my natural lashes with the extensions. To make my eyes stand out, I dusted a light layer of white eyeshadow across my lids, finishing the look with a swipe of my favorite pink lip gloss. Satisfied with my makeup, I checked my phone and realized how quickly the morning had slipped by. Between all the grooming, the shower, and my makeup routine, I had spent far more time in the bathroom than planned. In a rush, I moved to the bedroom to get dressed. I grabbed my gaff and quickly tucked, ready to move on with the day. Next, I grabbed my sticky bra. I positioned it just outside my pecs so the inner corners covered my nipples, then pulled them together and secured them tightly. To add some extra volume, I stacked 2 new bras on top and finished it off with a padded push-up bra. I hurried back to the bathroom for a quick touch-up, using bronzer to contour my chest for a more defined look. Satisfied with the results, I headed back to my closet to choose a wig. On the top shelf, 5 wig stands displayed my collection, each with its own style. From left to right, there was a long, straight black wig with a middle part, a medium-length wavy brunette wig with a side part, a medium wavy auburn wig with a middle part, a long wavy dirty blonde wig with dark roots and a middle part, and finally, a shoulder-length platinum blonde wig with a side part. Each wig represented a different chapter of my life, each with its own set of memories. The brunette wig was my very first. It marked the time when I rarely stepped outside. I wore it during my most introverted phase, when the outside world felt distant. The auburn wig, however, was my longest-running companion. It was in this wig that I truly began to understand who I was and who I was becoming. It was the first wig I wore out of the house, the one I used for social media, and dating profiles, it carried my first steps into the world as the real me. The black wig. That was an instant regret. I probably wore it for no more than 2 hours before realizing it wasn't me at all. The dirty blonde wig, on the other hand, was my adventurous spirit in hair form. It didn't see much action, but when it did, it was mostly for quick Walmart runs where I felt bold and carefree. Then there was the platinum blonde wig, my newest addition. This one embodied my hot girl summer phase, full of fun and fresh confidence. By the time I got the platinum blonde wig, I had my makeup and shapewear routines down to a science. No longer did I fear wearing more revealing outfits because I didn't have to stress about my breast forms looking fake, mainly because I wasn't wearing them anymore. I had mastered the art of creating a natural look with numerous, padded push-up bras and a bit of strategic makeup. The only thing visible was my own skin, blended seamlessly. I had also perfected tucking by this point, so I felt more confident than ever. My wardrobe started to reflect that newfound confidence. My clothes became progressively tighter, shorter, and more daring, each outfit a little bolder than the last. It was a time where I truly embraced myself and felt free to express who I really was. I was already several months into my hot girl summer, so there was no question which wig I'd be wearing that day. Without hesitation, I slid a wig cap over my natural hair, carefully tucking my brunette curls up into it. Then, I positioned the platinum blonde wig on my head, securing it in place with a bit of wig tape. Once it was snug, I took a few minutes to brush it out, making sure every wave fell perfectly into place. By now, I felt completely transformed. My skin was smooth and glowing, my hair was flawless, and my makeup looked incredible. My chest looked perky, natural, and real, all thanks to my perfected technique, and as far as the world was concerned, there was no trace of any male bulge. I was ready to take on the day, fully confident in every aspect of my appearance. As I stood there, feeling completely put together, my mind started to drift. How did I end up here? I wondered. How did I go from a boy who played with Barbies to becoming a Barbie myself? Of course, there was more to it than just that, like the times I played dress-up with my sister and her friends as a kid, or how I started borrowing clothes from my mom and sister's closets when I was home alone in middle school. There was also that one Halloween in undergrad when I accepted a day to dress up as a sexy nurse. Each of these moments, small steps in a much longer journey, contributed to years of questioning who I am and who I wanted to be. Even now, I didn't have all the answers to those questions, but in that moment, it didn't matter. I knew one thing for sure: I was a woman. In every way that counted, I felt undeniably female. Maybe not in my DNA, but nobody who saw me would ever guess otherwise. In this body, in this life, I looked, acted, and felt like a woman, and that made me happy. I was so overwhelmed with happiness that I felt tears welling up, but I quickly stopped myself. I couldn't ruin my makeup. Instead, I stood in front of the mirror, smiling uncontrollably as I admired my reflection. In that moment, a thought crossed my mind. Maybe I'm not just a crossdresser. Maybe I truly am a woman trapped in a man's body. Maybe I'm a trans woman. The thought lingered as I threw on a dress from my closet and snapped a few selfies to send to my friends on Snapchat. I wasn't out to any of them yet, so their reactions were filled with surprise. Every message I received was a variation of "you look so good, cute." It all looked so real and natural, and I'd barely recognized you. Those words only made my heart swell with even more joy. I felt seen, accepted, and validated in a way I had never expected. Suddenly, this overwhelming feeling came over me. I had to go out. I wasn't sure where, but I wanted to be out in the world, part of it. The dress I was wearing didn't seem practical for a spontaneous outing, so I quickly changed into a tangerine cropped t-shirt, lavender short shorts, and white Converse. I grabbed my sunglasses and crossbody bag and headed out to campus. Once there, I found a spot on the quad, sitting down to people watch for a bit. A few people greeted me casually as they walked by, just treating me like any other woman enjoying the afternoon. Feeling more at ease, I decided to head to the student center to grab lunch. While waiting in line, a group of guys struck up a conversation. They were flirty, playful, and before long, they were inviting me to ditch the line and join them at a bar just down the street. As they talked about grabbing food and drinks before heading to a darty, I felt a mix of nerves and flattery. I couldn't help but wonder, did they realize I wasn't a cisgender woman? And if not, how would they react if they found out? I politely declined their offer, but they kept insisting. Finally, I told them I'd skip lunch but might meet up with them at the darty later. When they asked for my number, I played it safe and had them give me theirs instead. It felt like a better move, keeping me in control of the situation. Plus, if they tried calling, my voicemail would have definitely outed me. With my food in hand, I headed back to the quad to eat. A few more people tried to strike up conversations, but I popped in my AirPods, focusing on my phone as I ate, creating some distance. As I scrolled through my phone, I decided that going to the darty wasn't a good idea. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I might run into those guys again, especially if things got awkward. Looking for alternatives, I searched my phone for other things to do that day, anything to keep the momentum of my adventure without risking the uncertainty of that encounter. There was a movie playing that I'd been wanting to see, and for the first time, I had the perfect excuse to sneak snacks into the theater with my purse. That idea excited me, so I decided that catching a movie was my next move. I texted a few friends I'd already come out to, but unfortunately, everyone was busy. I really didn't want to go alone though, so I turned to my Tinder roster. I'd been on Tinder for a few months, chatting with a mix of guys and girls regularly. I wasn't looking for anything serious, no hookups or dating, just the occasional fun conversation and the validation of knowing people thought I was hot. Meeting up with anyone had never really crossed my mind before, but now, feeling a bit desperate for company, I started thinking about who I could invite to the movie. I wasn't expecting much, but the idea of going alone just didn't feel as appealing anymore, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Not many of the people I messaged replied quickly enough. Those who did were either too far away, busy, or gave off a creepy vibe. Some wanted to make out, cuddle, or more during the movie, which I wasn't interested in. No one seemed keen on just being friends and catching a movie, so I ended up going by myself. It was a horror movie, and I found myself with the entire theater to myself. That added a cool, creepy edge to the experience, which I actually enjoyed. It also meant I could be on my phone without worrying about being rude, though I didn't check it much since the only messages I was getting were from disappointed Tinder matches. The movie itself was great, and it even featured a trans actress, which felt really validating and exciting to see. After the movie, I stopped by the women's restroom on my way out, feeling confident and comfortable before heading home. Back at home, I couldn't resist changing outfits a few times and snapping some pictures. For dinner, I hit up Taco Bell drive-thru, and hearing the employees call me ma'am put a smile on my face. It was the perfect way to end what had been an amazing day. Later that night, I hopped on Fortnite with my friends, and it was business as usual. They were treating me like one of the bros, which made me laugh to myself, knowing I was in full femme mode, rocking a sundress and getting random DMs from guys on my secret Insta. It's funny, because I've never been into guys at all, and probably never will be. But I still talk to a lot of them because it feels incredible to be complimented and treated like a woman. Is it wrong of me? Absolutely. Am I using them? Yeah, I guess so. But the thing is, I'm always honest with them about it. They all know the deal. I tell them straight up that I'm not into guys, but they're convinced they'll be the one to change my mind. It's kind of hilarious, honestly. That night, I was still riding the high from the day, and I didn't even feel like changing out of femme mode. So I just put on an oversized t-shirt and climbed into bed, still wearing my wig, makeup, and shapewear. As I laid there, my mind was racing. It had been such an incredible day, maybe the best day of my life. I felt like I looked amazing. I had amazing adventures, came out to some friends, and just embraced so many new parts of myself. It was everything I had hoped for and more. I was unbelievably happy, almost overwhelmed by how right everything felt. It was like everything I'd been waiting for just fell into place. Despite all the joy and excitement of that day, I realized something deep within myself. I could never go back. That day wasn't just another moment as a crossdresser. It was something much bigger. I finally understood in my heart of hearts that I wasn't a crossdresser at all. I wasn't just a guy experimenting with women's clothes or trying to dress up as a girl for fun. No, I wasn't just a guy. I was a girl. I am a woman. I was a woman in every way that mattered, even if my DNA didn't reflect it. But as clear as that realization felt, I also felt conflicted. Am I a trans woman? Maybe, but maybe not. It's strange because, yes, I'm a woman, but I'm also still a man in some ways. The thing is, I don't hate being a man. In fact, there are parts of it I've been comfortable with, but being a woman, it just made me feel so alive. I loved it so much more than I ever thought I could. It was confusing, but also liberating to realize I didn't need to fit into a single rigid box. As I laid there, my mind continued to wander, spinning through thoughts and realizations for hours. I didn't find all the answers that night, but one thing became clear. I was more than just a crossdresser. That day marked the beginning of a new chapter in my gender journey, one that would take time to fully understand. I wouldn't truly figure out who I was for at least another year, but in that moment I was content. For the first time in my life, I felt truly at peace with myself. The uncertainty, the questions, they were all part of the path ahead. But I wasn't afraid. I was happy. And for now, that was all that mattered. As I drifted off to sleep, I smiled, knowing that no matter where the journey led, I was finally on the right path, embracing every part of who I was, with the freedom to discover more. And that was beautiful.